I'm Terry McCullough. I'm president of Libery County League of Women Voters. Say that fast, it doesn't work. But what we are is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization what we want to do is educate the public, encourage them to vote, register them to vote, and help them learn about the candidates. Carol's passing around some vote 411 cards. Anything that's an issue we would like to bring to the table, like our last meeting that we had was, how do you determine what's truth and what's false and all the garbage that comes to you all the time, which was very interesting. But that's what the league does. We started doing the national debates when they first began, before the debate commission was formed, and then it was taken over by the debate commissions, and they do a fine job. So we are known for nonpartisanship, questions, and questions to make you think, and not leading anyone in any direction. This is a nonpartisan or a nonpartisan election anyway, so I don't care who wins, and pick a person you think is the best for your family, your values, what you believe, where you want this city to go. Okay? Just a couple of other things up here. She's passing them out. If you want to hear from some of the candidates, the biggest thing you hear is, you don't even know who these candidates are. I'm not going to vote. Okay, take one of those little cards Carol's passing out. Go to vote411.org. Put in your address. The candidates in your area will pop up. And then there are the answers to some questions that we've asked them. And if there's no answers, that tells you a thing or two as well. Tonight we are missing, and I have no idea where they are. You need to tell me. You're not going to tell. Abe Wainsgard and Tia Shaw. Is that what we're missing? Okay. I don't mind if you have something you have to do. Tell me before you don't come up. Tom, that tells me something. How we do this is we'll go for 2 minutes for them to tell you a little bit about themselves. I'm going to pass this mic down, and then we'll ask questions. Get to the point, because we have 1 minute. And get to the point, because some of these are specific questions that we want an answer to, so get there. And then at the end, you get 1.5 minutes to wrap it up and tell everyone why you're the best candidate known to man. And our timekeepers are right here. The 30-second thing comes up. Obviously, you have 30 seconds left. And then if you put stop, she is okay to come up and smack you with that and stop it. She's going to paddle you. Again, thank you for coming. I'll go ahead and start. We'll start. Chelsea, 2 minutes. Tell us how wonderful you are. No, tell us about it.
Don't ever tell me your costume. All right. I'm Chelsea Argyle. I live in Liberty. I have lived here for about 20 years. My husband, he grew up in Huntsville. I grew up down in Centerville. He picked me out of a yearbook, so that's how we met. I have 5 children. They're all grown. My youngest is not married yet. She still lives goes to Weaver State. I've got 4 grandchildren I love, and I'm a teacher over at Valley Elementary. I teach 5th grade, and I love it. I am running because I think that if I don't run, I don't have a right to complain. So I want to be part of it with the work that we've already done so far. I'm okay if you vote for Tia, because that's a lot of work. But then there's other days where I'm like, I love being involved and knowing what's going on. So I'm kind of on the edge whether I want Tia or myself to win. Just so you know. But I love the opportunity that I've had to be here and to be part of learning about how a city gets started. This has been a wonderful opportunity. I have loved talking to people about this, about what's happening. I just yesterday had parent-teacher conferences with a young father who had no idea what was going on. And so I educated him and then encouraged him to get involved and do some of the things that he wants done in our valley. And I'm excited that we can work together and make those seats happen.
Well, Peggy.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Dooling Baker. I am a candidate in District 2. And District 2 is a very long, narrow, but deeply rooted district. We love our valley. We started the stop sign in Liberty and run all the way around to Trappers Lane. So there's so many incredible people. As candidates, everyone I talk to in our district has a very similar love and desire to keep our peace, our quiet, and our beautiful, amazing vistas. We all have some very similar concerns, too. We're concerned about water, about infrastructure, about turning into Park City, and especially about oh my goodness, especially about how we're going to make this whole transition roll. So I believe that we're going to make it work by working together as a community. Working together, you're going to create a robust local government. And that is what I want to be by. So as a candidate in District 2, I am hoping to run your vote tonight to be able to be the one that goes ahead and works to set up our new city. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Janet Wampler. I'm one of the mayoral candidates for our new city. Let's see, I live in Eden and have been a full-time resident in this valley for just shy of 11 years now. Prior to that, we were part-timers. We bought our property year, early 2000s. So we've been coming out since then. Before fully moving here, I had a full-time career in corporate America and married my husband. And when we decided to start a family is when we decided to redesign our life around how we wanted to do exactly that. So I retired from my profession. I became a stay-at-home mom. And we moved out here full-time to raise our family here in nature with the values that we hold dear. Since moving out here, I immersed myself in the community. I involved myself with teaching in Valley Elementary, with the nonprofits. I've sat on boards. I've participated and led volunteer activities and initiatives in this valley. For over 10 years, I've run all the blood drives with the Red Cross, all of that. About 4 years ago, I was appointed to the Planning Commission and was an active participant there. I still serve on that commission. I'm chairman, so I run all of those meetings. And then about a year and a half ago, I was asked to lead the transition team to put the city's launch together. And so that's what I've been doing. And that's what led to me filing for candidacy, was I've been on that learning curve, which is incredibly steep. And I realized just how steep it is and how we need people that are on that path that know what's going on to be able to make this a success. So I'm running for one thing only, and that is a seamless, successful launch of our city.
Thanks to all of you for being here, taking your time on this rainy evening. Appreciate it. Appreciate the league for being here. They do so much good work. And to tell a little bit about myself, I'm a 5th-generation resident of Ogden Valley, and my ancestors, I'm so proud. I can't believe they carved out a place in this, at the time, inhospitable place. Some settled in Liberty, some in Huntsville, and some in Eden. And there are a lot of new people that have come to this valley. And I have found that the quality of people who move here are top-notch. And I appreciate all that they contribute to this valley. And some of through the years, I've worked with the county, with planning and zoning, and being involved for the past about 27 years, and also sat on the planning commission. And I have found that some of the most vocal and strongest supporters have been the new people that come here, because they know what a jewel this valley is. And they know, and they come from places they don't want to see what happened to sometimes the places that they came from. So I appreciate them very much and all that they contribute. I've been involved in the valley forever, ever raised my kids here, PTO president, Cub Master, still sit on the Ogden Valley Land Trust for about 26 years, trying to preserve open space in a way that doesn't infringe on people's property rights. And again, thank you for coming tonight, and contact me anytime. We have such a short amount of time here tonight.
We'll start with Peggy. I'll just get up on hand. Tell me what activities that you have been involved in for this transition. What kind of committees have you been on? What kind of things have you done to help aid the transition to the incorporation?
Well, to start my personal life, my training was I'm a retired educator after 36 years in education. I worked at all levels, elementary, middle, high school, district office. I was a director of special ed was my last role. And throughout all of those experiences, I really learned collaboration skills. I've looked at being open to all possibilities, pulling it together, being able to create a common vision and then actions to get there. So I believe I bring those skills to the work of the new city and bringing together everybody's opinions and thoughts and moving forward with a common goal to achieve our vision.
So I think the question was, what have you been involved in with the transition? So I started with the transition from the very beginning. A year and a half ago, the summer of 2024, I was contacted by some of the sponsors of incorporation and asked, because of my skill set and expertise, if I would lead this team. And so there were about 4 or 5 of us at the time who would meet regularly every week and start the process of finding out what it takes to stand a city up. Never stopped. I've got 30 seconds. I led it the entire time. I've been on the steering committee since then. I ran the actual T3 of all planning and land use. I organized citizen volunteers to come together every single week and review and revise all of our land use codes, as well as participate with the other groups, finance and public works. So I am the transition team, myself and a few others. So that would be that answer.
I heard the question as, what have I done in my life to prepare me for this position? And my education is in public administration. I have a graduate degree in public administration. It's different than a business degree. That's why they offer 2 graduate degrees at the University of Utah. And also with that, I did my minor was in urban planning. And I also did urban planning emphasis at Weber State with my political science degree. And I've served on the Ogden Valley Planning Commission. I've started with an ad hoc planning committee with just volunteers from the community about 30 years ago to look over what was on the agendas and to go down to the Planning Commission and County Commission meetings and comment and represent the people. So I've been doing this a long time. Love Ogden Valley, and that's what I'm about. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I heard the question when he said that. I thought I've done the last year that's helped him the transition, and I don't really know a lot about it until last January when you met. I knew what was going on, but I didn't do much of that until last January. We were at a meeting over at the Rock Church, and I put in my name to volunteer. And so at that point, because my husband knows IT, our names have put on IT list. So I have sat in a lot of IT meetings in the last year about what needs to be done for this valley. I personally don't know a lot. I'm learning about a lot about IT, so I learned a lot, and that's what. And then working in Canada these last couple of months, that's what I've done to prep for this, and it's been amazing.
All right. The next question is, what do you see as controls sustained growth?
So one of the reasons that I led the Team 3 Planning and Land Use team was because my idea of how we can actually control and manage the growth in this valley is through working with our laws. So the one thing that we can do is impose the law. We cannot deny anyone anything that the law allows for that to happen. So if we want to manage growth and what I consider smart growth, you have to first rewrite the land use laws so that they actually say what it is we want to achieve in this valley. If we don't want buildings above a certain height, we need to put it in the law. That way, when we turn applications down, we are legally making a sound decision, and we protect ourselves from lawsuits. So that's the work I've been doing for the past year, is leading a large group of volunteers to rewrite our laws.
So it all starts with a general plan, and that's what I'm working on right now, is to rewrite that. Basically, we're taking the existing one, the 2016 general plan, tweaking it to fit our situation, taking out those things that are no longer applicable, and then trying to tighten it up. And then I would propose that the City Council adopt a consistency ordinance that requires them that all zoning and ordinances and development decisions must follow the general plan. Also, for me, it's important that we follow industry standards. It's non-subjective. We have clear, concise laws that everyone has to follow. We create an even playing field, and we don't subsidize growth. If someone wants to do development, they have to pay for it themselves. They pay their own way.
Okay, I learned so much from both of these wonderful ladies right here. I have learned a lot about writing the laws from Jana, and I've learned a lot about the general plan from Shanna. I have studied now that general plan. That's new for me in this last year. And then learning that that general plan does not hold ground if we don't write the laws, like Jan has showed us or taught us to stand up to that. And that's what's wrong. We wrote the general plan, but there were no laws in the county that said they had to stick to it. So that's something that will be done in our city. Whether I'm in place or not, it's going to get done.
I believe the question was growth and sustainability. So sustainable growth. We really have to be cautious. I agree 100%. You start with the vision and the general plan. A lot of people put their thoughts into that plan and built it in 2016. I did some new pieces in 2019, and now I want to make it fit for boundaries. Take out the canyon, take out areas that don't fit. Laws are essential, and there's thousands of pages of laws that we have to go through to make this work. But we really have to be thoughtful about some very critical ones that are going to help us with growth. And I believe that's our short-term rentals and looking at those ordinances, and those are going to involve a lot of community thought and input. And the other one would be our transfer of development rights. That's going to impact our growth. We have to take care for that. So many of the laws we can move over, but we really as a community have to look at some of these key ones as we go forward.
First, I'm going to ask you, it's two-sided. The first one is, what is a TDR?
A TDR is a transfer of development right. And how they set them up is usually they're used to avoid urban sprawl. So, and it also gives large landowners a tool to help them be able to keep their open spaces. So for instance, let's say they would like to protect the family farm that's been in the family for 5 generations. Property taxes are high. What do? They can sell the development rights off of that piece of property to a developer that wants to do more higher density development, maybe in a village center in the valley. And so it's another tool in the toolbox for planners to use. And if the problem we have currently is we don't have ordinance.
Okay, I'm going to have her answer the second question as well. Do you support TDRs and why?
As I was just going to say, right now, we don't have really ordinances that are written that ensure that they're used wisely and judiciously. And if we do use them, they pretty much, they have been exploited currently, taking them off an area where no one could to build anyway. So you need ordinances, very strict type ordinances to make them work right, and a system set up then to record those and just make sure they're managed correctly.
First question is
First question, I think Shanna answered that perfectly. That was great, what a TDR is. What I have seen with the TDRs in our valley is in the past ones, I've seen over Liberty, I've seen that be used. And then just recently, I've seen some of that land he sold as lots. And so it has not been used appropriately. Unless we write ordinances that are very explicit in how we're going to use those, I don't think they should be used.
Agreed. Transferable development right intent, because your state was for the agricultural land to stay open and have the density move to smaller areas, like village areas. My concern is, as I went on Frontier, which is the system Weber County uses, to look at what the development rights have been used and moved. They weren't for that. They have been taken off of the mountainside instead of taken off of the valley floor and used for density in village areas. So those are not the intents. And I think there is a wild earth for misuse with TDRs. And are we really using them for the purpose they were intended? I think we need to look at the data and make decisions as we write those ordinances moving forward that we are using them the way they were intended to be used. Mr. Katz.
is everything which ties to it?
You just told us whether you support, right?
Oh, I guess in a roundabout way, what I support is a community coming together. Let's talk about this. Let's look at it from a lot of different perspectives, because my perspective so far has been, I haven't seen them be used in the way that they were intended to use. So I would like community groups to get together, farmers, ranchers, developers. Let's talk about this and let's really figure out the best way to use them to achieve the vision that we want in our valley.
You really did it, Elena.
Oh,
Not you being dumb. Not being dumb. She said about 3 seconds about the TDRs. What? So, to the answer, what do you think? What is a TDR? And you support.
So a TDR is an acronym standing for Transferable Development Right. It is a newly created right that the county has developed. So if you've read the general plan, the whole crux of it really centers on TDRs. The general plan looked to figure out an answer to a problem we were having, which was how to maintain a rural agricultural feel of this valley while respecting property rights. And before the creation of TDRs, the only way to develop land or access the value of your land was to sell it and develop right there on that property. So the idea of creating TDRs is to be able to transfer those development rights off a piece of property to somewhere else. And the general plan talks about prescribed areas to move density so that we make sure we keep large swaths of open land and view corridors, rather than having it just be an urban sprawl of homes every 3 acres. So that's what a TDR is and what the intent originally was. I'm okay with not using that portion of my first question, if I can skip into the second. All right, so whether or not I agree with them, I think it's a tool. I'm a strong supporter of the general plan. I have been all 4 years of my time on the Planning Commission. I've been a staunch defender of it and weighed every decision up against whether it is in line with the general plan and the laws. TDRs is a major part of our current general plan. In my opinion, they should be one of many tools to try to make sure that we protect the rural agricultural field of this valley. We do need to have a strong ordinance. It does not currently exist. It must be written. And that will be something that our new city council will need to do probably within the first year. It's not something that needs to be done right this second, but within the first year.
Give a specific idea you have for the roads to support the massive growth.
This is where we need Abe. He's not here. Abe has taught me a lot about it, the roads. I can tell you, I don't have a specific idea. I do understand there's a lot more to the roads that we have to think about than just snow removal. Abe taught me that we really need to know who's going to take care of the drains, or what about when the sign gets bumped down? These are things that happen frequently that we just don't think about. If we don't take care of it, we're going to be held liable for it. So we need to have engineers and people in place that we're ready to take care of any emergencies and things that come along with our roads, and how to sustain the roads and that at a time. I hope our growth doesn't get too much that we have to make tons and tons of change to the roads.
We do have to look at our infrastructure, and I believe that the Public Utilities Group, we're going to get the master plan from Weber of what roads and what their plan was for the next 3 to 4 years. I think we need to get that. We need to reevaluate that. We need to get resident input on what is important to them in terms of roads, and then start maintaining our roads. When I was out on my bike and walking all of those at District 2, we have some pretty bad roads. The neighborhood above up there going all their homes across from Anderson Cove, those roads were as bad as the ones in Nordic. We have to take that into account. We have to pay money through impact fees, make a schedule, maintain our roads. Infrastructure has to happen prior to, I believe, a step ahead of the growth coming. We have to have that, or else it's going to be disastrous for us, driving and moving around. So.
Sure. And you give a specific idea you have for the roads to support the massive growth as well.
A specific idea for the roads to support the road.
So we have about 100 miles of roads within the boundaries of our city that currently exist. That's not to take into account any new roads that some of the developments might put into place. This is a tricky thing for us financially. We can't actually use any impact fees for any maintenance of anything. It's very prescribed what you can use impact fees for. And so we need to have the revenue coming into our city to not only clear the snow for health, safety, and wellness so we can get out of our homes and get to work and emergency services can come up, but we need to maintain our roads, chip protection, and all of that stuff that comes into play. If we are not maintaining our roads, they will deteriorate much faster, and then we will be needing to do a full replacement much sooner than if we had been maintaining all along. This is one of our biggest challenges, taking over the public works and the infrastructure for our valley.
I do have a specific idea, and it's used in most other places across the United States. It's almost a novel idea for here, Weber County. You make the developer pay for the new roads. For instance, the Eden Crossing development, the development agreement with the county commissioners, they talked about putting a roundabout by the Valley Market, and our tax dollars were going to pay for most of it. Developer was required to pay a portion, but then that was going to be reimbursed when I read the contract to them. No, if a builder wants to build, the building has to be viable. They pay for the infrastructure. If there's a new bridge, if it's going to increase traffic where they need a new bridge or to widen roads, they pay for it. Then we have money left over to pay for our maintenance. And we're not scrambling and raising taxes.
What is the largest workforce contract that you have? And sorry, let me say that again. What is the largest workforce that you have managed?
Wow. I'm trying to count students, faculty. The principal of a junior high school, 800 students, 125 employees, volunteers, and then contracting services, other services like special education services, Title I services, in addition to that. So that was a big one, along Director of Special Ed, where I have all of the special educators in the district for Ogden City Schools, 36 years in education, 30 years within Ogden. And I think the Director of Special Ed, I had 200 employees. So if you don't count children, the Director of Special Ed would probably be my largest group. And I also work with other folks, OT, occupational therapists, physical therapists, that contract will go on different professions.
So before I retired, I had worked my way up the corporate ladder, and I left my career as the marketing and sales director in charge of all of North America for an international consumer products company. So that put my direct reports in the hundreds, including everything from production and distribution, and then of course sales, industry, affiliates, marketing, public relations, all the way down. So quite a few.
So several years ago, I was the zone coordinator for Weber, Morgan, Davis, Salt Lake, and Tooele counties. And I worked with district boards from, actually there were two districts in Tooele. One was the Shambip, way out west. So I worked with these boards and was responsible for them doing conservation. Most of them were farmers and ag producers, and help them to do grants and to get funding to do sustainable farming and agriculture, and to protect the waters and waterways on their farms. So that was very enjoyable working. Each board probably had about 10 to 13 people on it, plus all the office staff as a zone coordinator for the 5 counties. Thank you.
Okay, mine's short, simple. I taught 34 fourth graders in one classroom for a year.
And save your soul for that.
Name one creative idea you have for bringing funds into the Valley's budget.
Ooh, creative ideas. So there's a lot of different ways that we can raise revenue for our new city. There are state federal grants. There's a lot of tax revenue that we're able to go after that is not additive to our existing residents. That's where my focus has lied. There's plenty of things we could do to raise taxes. I've specifically been focusing on things we can do that don't affect our existing residents. So one thing that I was just in a discussion today with one of our residents is about actually changing how we go about property tax collection and making sure if it's an opt-in for the discount rather than an automatic, then we automatically will pick up the full tax rate of all of the non-primary residences. This is a valley filled with homes of second and third homes for people. And we currently don't have a situation that forces them to pay the 100% property tax that they're actually obligated to pay. They're able to pay the 45% that those of us that live here full-time pay.
Well, fortunately, the city isn't responsible for collecting taxes, hallelujah. But we could work with the county to help to work out a system to make sure that the county is collecting their fair share, so we receive more tax revenue. My specific thing is everyone in the valley loves open space. That's why one of the main reasons everyone comes here and why those who were born and raised here want to stay here. So one great idea that other places have utilized is called 10% for open space. So tourists and visitors visiting Ogden Valley, we work with businesses in Ogden Valley, and if they're willing and on board, we do a little marketing, and they have something at their cash register. So when they go to pay their bill, they know that there's a program. If they would like to donate 10% of their bill to open space, then the businesses work with the city in collecting that, and it's used to purchase more revenue.
You want to get open space.
All right, I think we just really need to encourage those small businesses that are here, because we do have a lot of just small businesses that are in the homes in our business, and encourage that to happen in the small businesses throughout our city, because that would bring revenue to us. Another one is we have some very talented people that know so much that we can use in this valley who do write grants. And I've become acquainted with some of these people, and there are so many opportunities that we can get grant money that doesn't tell us as tax money, and we can just utilize the talent that we have in our community. If we know one another and you know the talents that we have that we can share.
Thank you. Mine was similar to Shannon's, and it may be very close, because when you go to the stores in Ogden, they'll say, oh, do you want to round up for the schools? Or, oh, do you want to round up for the homeless? And different businesses throughout Ogden. I would love our business to be able to do that. Do you want to round up for our valley? Contribute that way, because I would like to see us balance the revenue task for tourism, and have the tourists pick up a part of that and not put it on the residents. That's the last thing we want to do, is to add anything to your residents. So let's maximize the folks that come to visit. And then also one of the communities, and I think down in Sierra is working with groups that will write grants for us. So I really think we need to tap into all of the things you've got available to us.
Okay, we'll start with Shanna. Do you support conditional use permits that allow developers to act outside of the zoning of an area?
Wow. So conditional use, they're written into the zoning. So they'll say your zoning ordinance says what's allowed, what's not allowed in each zone. And then they have a lot of conditional uses, meaning if you meet these conditions, then you can do this or that. And through state law, we're required, a city or a county is required to allow that if they can meet those conditions of that, for that conditional use. And I feel personally that they are extremely overused and abused. And so I would personally be invested in, when we write our zoning ordinances and review those, that many of those conditional use permits are taken out.
Okay, my answer is no. I don't support it, especially if it doesn't go with our general plan.
I agree. I've been going through some of the land use votes also for the forest zone. And the conditional use permits are things that aren't typically permitted. So I believe they're either permitted or they're not permitted. And I lean towards looking at each one of them carefully to say, could this be a permitted use or not? And if it is, let's permit it. If it's not, let's not. But, you know, if you have one of the codes is 40 head of cattle per acre. You know, if let's say that was a conditional use, it's either permitted or it's not permitted. So I think we need to go through and really look at each one, evaluate them, and get conditional use, and just tag permanent or non-permitted uses, and see how that goes for us as a new city.
I'll try to be almost as brief as Chelsea. I agree completely. I think things should either be permitted or not. I am 100% for clear, concise land use laws. I think when you get vague on things, that's when all the trouble starts and the legality becomes a problem. So either it's permitted or not within the zone, and you make it clear from the start.
Just oh, so that's fine. Yeah. Why don't choose this turn? Okay. Do you support term limits for mayor and council members, and why?
Sure. I mean, we do have it, I guess, so I do support it. Mine will be 2 years if I make it. I believe the mayor is 4, and with some of the council members more, so that it's offset. I think it's a good thing. And yes, I do like the term limits. If you don't like what they're doing, we're not going to vote them back in. We do, then we will.
I will agree 100%. Term limits, everybody needs to have the opportunity to vote again when their terms are up, 2 years, 4 years, and it staggers, as Chelsea mentioned, so I think it's set up very well.
So just to remind you, everybody will have a 4-year term. It's just that in order to stagger, they had to start some of them off with a 2-year so that they don't all just come on and off at the same time. With regard to whether there were term limits in terms of how many times you can be elected, I honestly haven't given it any thought. I think however the city council wants to write it is fine by me. No matter what, they'd have to get elected. So if people want them in, they'll vote. If they don't, they don't. But I have no problem either way.
Okay, I'm going to take the opposite stand. Especially our valley, as small as it is, I believe it should be up to the people. That's what I would vote. So who do you want in? Do you want them again or not? Personally, I have a term limit because I won't be doing this probably most assuredly for more than one term. Since I have a little bit of time, I do want to say that I believe in especially as we start out as a city, I have committed to not take a salary because we talk about term limits, but we also have financial limits as a new city. And there you go.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. You know, I feel like you should just, what are your plans to provide police, fire, and animal control here in the valley, which become Inglewood does?
Great. Fire is separate from the city. So the fire department and the services, the paramedics will remain the same. That is a separate district from the city. We will be responsible for the police and the animal control. So police, we have groups working with contracting with the sheriff to continue services, so there's no lapse in service. So we should have the same service at the end of December as we do the beginning of January. Animal control, that's a little bit different. It hasn't risen to the top priority to consider yet, so I'm going to go out on a limb and assume we will contract that service with Libery if we can, who's been providing that service for us. So The police, we want to make sure we get in place. The fire will be in place. Animal control will lift to contract.
So I've been on the transition team since the beginning, and it's always been the goal of the transition team to contract for these services with Weber County. We were familiar with the concept that people that did vote for incorporation did so because of land use decisions and wanting more control over that, and not really anything to do with public works or the sheriff. So the plan has always been to contract with the county. As of late, we've had some difficulty in doing that. There are some discussions about how the county wants to wait until we know who's elected, so they know who they're actually negotiating with. So in the meantime, we are looking at Plan B and Plan C, all the way down to D now with snow and roads, because we have a lot of roads, and we have to find somebody who's not only willing but able to do the job. So the goal has always been the county. We hope it's the county, but we will do whatever's necessary.
So as one of the 5 original sponsors of incorporation and working through the feasibility study with a consulting company, LRB, yes, that's what we have been leaning towards for sure, is working with our county commissioners, and especially our elected Sheriff Arbon has been great, and we've had several dialogues and presentations working with him, so that's exciting. And regarding, I know I've had some mudslinging at me about my relationships with the county. I have excellent relationships with all of the different departments with Weber County, and maybe one commissioner has had some problems with me because I ran a casting for county commissioner because I felt like we didn't have the voice that we needed. But we'll be working with Weber County very closely, I'm sure.
Mine's the same. We've looked to Weber County. That's our ideal because it would just carry on like we've had before while we get our CD up and running. So snow removal, does that all anyway? It's all we're looking at the county. It's interesting because we have not discussed the animal control. I would assume the county also, but that's something that the county won't talk to us about it until we are actually voted on. We've tried. But as our candidates, so for 11 of us, we have discussed that, and there's certain communities in MLRD that are looking to see specifically each of those, and the county is our top choice, but we are looking at other options if that is not available.
I think I started.
Oh, Michelle. How do you identify and address potential conflicts of interest, both actual and perceived, and may arise when elected?
How will I address actual and perceived? Through transparent communication. So I have been a public servant for our valley for a number of years. There is full public record and documentation on how I've already addressed both real or perceived conflicts of interest in the past. I began by starting every meeting by asking the whole commission if anybody had any or any ex parte communication they needed to declare. When I had perceived conflicts of interest, I would state what those were, what the realities of the situation were, and at the same time, even against the advice of the county, I simply said, I will recuse myself so there's no perceived bias, and I would get up and leave the room. That was how we dealt with it on the Planning Commission, and that's how I would expect everyone to deal with it moving forward.
Fortunately, state law is very clear about declarations of conflict of interest for elected officials. And so we just need to make sure we do our job by enforcing the law. And I know many people have been saying they'll have a conflict of interest with the Ogden Valley News. And I think that's really interesting. I ran for county commissioner several years ago, and that never came up. And I'm wondering why now it comes up, but it never came up when I ran for county commissioner. So just think about that.
Hey, I just think it's being open and honest. If we have a conflict, you admit it, and you just say step away. If you do have a conflict of interest of whatever is being discussed at that time in the council meetings or whatever we're doing. So I think just being open and honest, and that's a no-brainer for me.
This is the first experience I had with being running for a council, being on a council. So I believe that the communication and the openness when things come up to talk about with my fellow council people about what I'm worried about if there is a conflict. My husband and I just own our little acre. We don't have any other business interests, any other land development, anything like that. But if something should come on during that time, I feel like I would, in my past history, has been to ask, to check, to run it by Lake Hollows and see if that is something that would be the conflict, and then the steps I should take to recuse, to not participate if necessary.
Yes. I think just chose. Yeah, chose. If you should know, us chose.
Didn't know, like they're Shannon's.
Okay. How would you ensure that all community voices are heard and considered in the decision-making process, especially for marginalized groups? Did you hear that? No. Okay, never mind. I'll put that big teacher voice out. How would you ensure that all community voices are heard and considered in the decision-making process, especially for marginalized groups?
Transparency and feeling like your voice is heard is primary. It's fundamental to our system of government. And one thing through the years of participating with the county and public meetings is that one thing that rubs me so wrong was that you get to a public hearing, the decisions have already been made over and over and over. And as mayor, because it's such a sticking point for me, I will ensure that everyone's voice is heard before I make up my mind. And as public administration, you learn that the more voices that participate and the more point of views you have, it takes longer, it's more rigorous, and it's clumsy sometimes, but you ultimately get a better result when all voices were heard. So I'm committed to that. Thank you.
I think ensuring all voices are heard or encouraging people to vocalize and tell us what they think. I really think it's important that we will have, as a city, that we have something, our website available where you can make comments that we can see, that we have social media that we can educate. I have learned so much in this process. I want everyone else to know that process. I'm realizing there's some people who don't even know we're getting a new city, which absolutely shocks me. But we need to put that education out there and encourage people to share. So not only trying to hear everybody, but actually pulling it out of them and being able to hear what people think, I think is very important to me.
Thank you. I learned in education that you can't think you say something enough. You can say it 100 times and you still need to say it 101, 102, 103. We need to keep communicating. And I think that duty is on us as a council to get information and then ask for information in return. Work it, get it back out. And like Shanna said, it is a longer process to get that information out, to get input, to get it back out. So we're going to have to do that through what I've heard called as a digital City Hall, which we will have set up so we can interact with everybody. And it's 24/7, so at your time frame, and when you're ready to hear it, to read it, you're able to do that and then give feedback to us. Then our job is to pull that together for the community. I'd also like to see us continue these community committees that advise. We got a grant loan right now for the name of the city. They are working hard to get everybody's point of view. So we'll continue that.
So I just want to say that I think actions speak louder than words, and you can look at my actions and how I ran the transition team, Team 3, about citizen engagement and constant information out and asking for it. And I do actually, this is where I'm actually going to sound like I'm a politician, although this is my first time ever running for office. I have a 3-part plan on how to keep citizens engaged in our new city, and I've been adamant about it from the beginning. I've called it the push, the pull, and the portal. We've talked about it in the candidate group meetings. But so part of it is the pull in, a lot of citizen committees being organized so that we hear a constant flow of information in, things from our seniors, a youth council, an agricultural commission, a water committee, all kinds of different citizen committees getting the information in. A regular newsletter that comes out from the city council, 1 page, but with lots of hyperlinks that tells you everything that's going on, whether it's a new business license being asked for. And I'm out of time, but I'd love to talk to you about it later. Whose turn?
Thank you.
Okay. If you were elected, what's your vision of what the valley would look like in the term?
3 years. No hurry. If elected, I would like to see thriving local businesses that have a steady stream of employees, so not seasonal, they lose them, they have a thriving business. I'd like to see us have gathering places so we can get together and talk about things that are important to us. I want to see the reservoir. I don't want to see hotels or houses. I want to see clear views. I want to see the small villages be thriving in the areas that we have selected. So we have the density and businesses that the residents can support right there and still help open field. I want to see a balance between property rights and community rights. I guess it's more of a feel. Let's see. But I want to have that feeling that we have of awe when we see our valley. I want to see that too.
So the boundary of 4 years from now, how would I see it? I would see our budget balanced and us running in the black. I'd hope that people did not feel any turbulence from the actual launch of the incorporation. I would like strong land use laws all throughout, including the ones that I don't consider the #1 top priorities. I'd like them all in place before the term of 4 years is over. This includes a disallowment of formula, franchise, and chain restaurants and shops. I think an important part of keeping our valley with the character that it has is keeping it mom and pop and locally owned businesses. And so I'd like a law that actually states that fact. So that would be one of my big goals within the first 4 years, is to have that legally processed to put through.
Oh, what time?
Okay.
I want to see, finally, responsible leaders who are accountable to the people, and the people's voice is heard and listened to, and we have development that has been done responsibly with the developers pulling their weight and their share. We don't see muddy rivers. We don't see all of these abuses that I've learned about and know about. And we would just have good planning instead of a tragedy of the commons with abuse of this community over and over again. Thank you.
Hey, this is one I'm glad that I am last because I want to see everything you all three envision. And then on top of that, I want to see the community coming out and doing things together. I want to see us planning. Just last night I met with a father and he said, I go along the beach and I walk and I see garbage along the beach. Could we do something to clean the beaches? And I said, yeah, you can. And you're going to let us know about that as this new city, and you can help us be able to organize cleanup. Maybe once a month, once a quarter, I don't know, whatever you decide. But as a community, I want to see all of this happen that they talked about with our people in our community taking the initiative and doing it.
Okay. That was the last question, so let's give you a minute and a half to tell these wonderful people out here why it is I should pick your name on the ballot that is in your mailbox today or will be there shortly.
Okay, so we are launching a new city. And that is a very different thing that most of us have never done before or lived through before. Incidentally, I have. Where I was born was unincorporated and it incorporated when I was in my 20s. So I've seen some of the mistakes that can get made. I've also learned about troubles and success stories from having interviewed all of the cities and towns in Utah that have incorporated over the last 25 years. We elected a system of a 6-member council, which has what's called a weak mayor system. There's some confusion in the Valley on what that actually means. The mayor is, in fact, the executive and administrative role, as well as a ceremonial role from the outstart. What actually makes it more of a weak mayor system is the fact that the legislative body, the city council, can adjust that role. They can remove the executive and the administrative sections of that role and make it strictly ceremonial. But when that happens, you need to hire a city manager. Where we differ, my opponent and I, is that I come from the corporate world. I have the executive and the administrative background. I can do the full job that is described in the state statute without having to hire another individual to get it done. So I'm Janet Wampler. I'm offering my services. I'm running for mayor of our valley, and I ask for your vote.
It's been about almost 5 years, this process of incorporating. It's been a long haul, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I didn't take it on lightly because, well, I tried every other avenue before incorporation so that people could finally have a voice here. We're taxed high, but we didn't have a voice. That's called taxation without representation. If you want more of the same, what's been going on, take a look who a lot of the big players that are responsible for what we have today. Who are they supporting? Who are they fighting adamantly against? And maybe that will help you decide who you want to vote for. If you want the same, don't vote for me. If you want someone different to fight for you, please, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, mine is very different. Tia is not here. She would be an absolute wonderful candidate to vote for. And my husband keeps asking me, Chelsea, who are you going to vote for? I don't know yet. Some days, my vote is going to Tia. Other days, I am so excited about being involved in this new city that I'm going to vote for me. Either one, we're going to do a good job. But I can't tell you which one to vote for yet.
That is amazing.
Just being honest.
Yes, that is amazing. I have just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. And thank you for the opportunity for this wonderful experience. I have worked with so many extraordinary people, and it has been truly an amazing experience. To think that a few years ago, well, no, a year and a half ago, I was standing at the Drip on Saturdays collecting signatures for incorporation. And then we voted and we incorporate. This is incredible. And now I find myself running for office, which is not something I thought I would do. But what an opportunity to meet so many wonderful people and learn so much about our valley. Well, I'd like to be the candidate that continues to learn and continues to learn for you. So I would be honored to have your vote on November 4th in District 2. Thank you. And thank you, legal voters.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Good answers. Good answers to some of those. You had to give a little bit of thought there. I do have some registration forms up here. If you are not registered to vote or you know someone who needs to register to vote, you can still do it. There's an envelope there that you can mail in. I do believe you have to be a provisional voter, which means you will have to go in person at this point in time. But anyone who's not registered, please come up here and hit one of these. If you have a friend, neighbor, somebody, take one of the forms with you and get them registered. Okay? Be sure you check vote411.org. And I appreciate very much having all of you here. They need a round of applause. Thank